Now back to Studio A and the award-winning Scott Micklin morning program on KSJE.
Back in the studio this morning with my guests, as I mentioned, from San Juan Regional Medical Center. We are talking a little bit about EMS and EMS Week, which is happening this month as well. Joining us here in the studio, the chief of the EMS service at San Juan Regional Medical Center, William Coker, is here. Good morning. Thank you for being here.
Good morning. Thank you.
Good to have you here. Also joining us here in the studio, one of the emergency medical paramedics is Sheridan Peterson. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Thank you both for coming in to talk a little bit about the jobs that you do, and thank you for keeping us all safe and getting us safely to the hospital and all the other things that you do. But let's talk a bit about the job and about EMS Week. First and foremost, we want to talk about 911 and when to call 911 and when not to call 911.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the big things that we run against out there in the field is when is the right time and the right reason in which to call for 911 medical services.
Right.
Obviously, we never want to deter anyone from calling 911 if you feel that you need that, and our dispatchers have those CAD programs to help walk through those questions to determine what the right level of care would be for that person when they're calling. But some of the big ones that we kind of want to go over when you're calling 911 is like if we're having some of that shortness of breath, chest pain, like that crushing chest pain, stroke. So we discuss a lot in EMS Be Fast. It's an acronym that we use.
Right.
And that's, you're looking for that facial droop, that speech differences, body weakness on one side or the other. Some of those things, when it comes to cardiac care and stroke care, minutes matter. So those are the ones that we want to make sure that we're getting to, and then we have those ambulances available for. So when we're calling 911 for those major traumas, those uncontrollable bleeds, we want to make sure that we're not calling for that, 2 o'clock in the morning, I stubbed my toe, I think I need an ambulance, or mild flu-like symptoms. Those are more urgent. You can go see your doctor in urgent care versus emergent, which is more life-threatening.
Sure.
And those are the ones, if we're tied up with some of those more urgent, lower-level calls, our ambulances can't get to the more critical ones because we're all tied up. We only have, on a good day, I believe about 8 ambulances running in San Juan County at one time.
And that seems like a lot, but they get used up pretty quickly with calls and things throughout the county. We know how large the county is, and so if you've got 8 ambulances going in 8 different directions, then you're out of ambulances.
Absolutely. Yes, we cover 5,500 square miles, which is the size of the state of Connecticut is our county that we're covering with those 8 ambulances. So very long transport times. We have cities that we run within, multiple cities. I think we are one of the only agencies here in San Juan County, other than State Patrol, that runs every jurisdiction in this county.
Right.
So it's a lot to cover for just 8 ambulances.
Yeah, no kidding. Very true. And of course, when someone's calling, they want you there yesterday.
Yes, they do.
As quick as you can. And part of what you mentioned for those really serious calls, right? Heart attack, stroke, things like that. When you get there to the patient, you can start providing care on the trip back towards the hospital, can you not? Start maybe some interventions or something and radio back to the ER or to whomever's waiting at the hospital what you're arriving with, what type of conditions?
Absolutely. So our ambulances are able to do pretty much the same thing we can do in an ER to provide life-saving interventions minus labs and scans. So we are able to provide those at your bedside, in your living room, at the car door, on a highway, and in the back of that ambulance. We can do those life-saving interventions to get you to the hospital stable and alive to that higher level of care.
Right. So when minutes matter, that's really imperative and really important, I guess, to get that care as soon as possible.
Absolutely, as soon as we can possibly get it there.
Yeah, and so that's kind of what we're talking about this morning as well. And so with that, I guess, and that's all part of your training, right? And to be able to do those different types of things in an ambulance, side of the road, accident scene, whatever the case. I mean, you cover it all, right? You guys are on the scene of all these different things.
We are, yeah. So we have, it's very interesting with our ambulance services here in New Mexico. We actually have 3 licensure levels that we have on those ambulances. We have our EMT basics that they have probably 300-400 hours of education just to get to the licensure. That's not including additional training hours every year. We have our advanced emergency medical technicians, our AEMTs, and that's one that we don't see in every state, but we do have here. And they have a little bit more in their skill set that they can do within the back of that ambulance to provide that care, and they're looking at probably 800-900 hours of education to that licensure. And then you have your paramedics, and they're the ones that are leading a lot of those calls, and we've got 2,500 plus hours of education just in that licensure. That includes obviously the lower levels to get up to that paramedic. So we have a really wide span of what we have to offer our citizens in the back of those ambulances as far as the education and the training hours that go into the individuals that are out there doing these jobs.
Nice. Very good. Thank you for explaining that to me, because I was always curious about the training and the different levels and things like that. And I know that San Juan College has a great partnership with San Juan Regional Medical Center, and I know we have classes here for EMTs and others, right? Do you get a lot of folks from the school here that come into your service?
Yes, we do.
Nice. That's a good partnership then.
It is.
And openings, or it's a pretty stable career, would you say?
It's a great, stable career. We always are looking for more qualified, wonderful individuals that want to give back to their community.
Great.
I think it's a great way to be able to serve your community out there.
Yeah, very good. Well, I want to also talk to both of you about EMS Week, because that is coming up. It's not this week, is it? Or is it this week? Or is it
next week?
Is it next week? It's next week. Okay. So we're just jumping the gun a little bit, but everyone could get ready for it, right? Yes. And so what types of things is kind of talked about and celebrated during EMS Week? The jobs that you all do, I would imagine, each and every day, but what are some of the other things that you will be doing next week during some of these?
So I've been kind of heading up some of our EMS Week stuff that we have going on. Obviously, during EMS Week, it's celebrated across the nation. It is a national celebration that we do for our EMS providers across the nation. And this year in particular, for our agency, we are also celebrating more than 50 years in San Juan County that we have been providing medical care for 5 decades.
Wow.
So basically, we have neighbors helping neighbors out here on our trucks, and we've been doing it for 50 plus years in our community. So for EMS Week, we are planning all kinds of events to just honor those EMS providers, sometimes in the back of those ambulances, and when we're transporting those patients. We get a limited amount of time with our community members when we're back there, and we try and follow up, and sometimes we know how the outcomes are, sometimes we don't. But it's something that our providers don't always see or hear the recognition from.
Sure.
And so being able to show those providers and those men and women that are sacrificing holidays and nights and hours, because many of these staff that are on these trucks are running 24-hour shifts. So they're sacrificing time from family and from all the other things that they do to be out there to serve our community. So to be able to show that appreciation to them for what they do and the hours, the countless hours that they put into it, and also just the really hard calls that they're going on. They see people in their worst moments, and they take that all home with them. Right. And that's important for us to show that we care and that we're here with them and that we stand with them. And I think it's a great opportunity for our community to stand up and say, hey, we see you, we recognize you, we appreciate you.
Definitely. And I appreciate you saying that and sharing that with us. And I think you speak from experience about those 24-hour shifts, so you know what you're talking about.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So there's a little bit of that as well. But that's a lot. And you're right. I think when people do encounter an EMS team, a paramedic or an EMT, whatever the case may be, they're not having their best day. And so you are kind of that, when you arrive on scene, they know that help is there and that they can kind of maybe relax a little bit, at least whatever's going on. And so that's a really important thing. And there are probably many patients that want to follow up and maybe don't know who was that EMT that helped me or who was at the scene of the accident when I was unconscious or what have you. And so there's probably a lot of that happens as well. So
absolutely.
It's good to recognize all those folks. And so so that's important. And that'll be happening all next week is what you're telling me.
It will be. Yeah, we have a few events that we'll be doing throughout the week for our providers. And then we like to have a little bit of fun out there as much as we can. And so this year we're calling it our EMS games. So
okay.
It'll be different stations our EMS providers can participate in, where med math, splinting, backboarding. So just a run of our skills where we can kind of show what we do and have a little bit of fun with it while also doing some training.
Sounds like some friendly competition.
Absolutely.
You all aren't really competitive at all, are you? Or
Not at all.
never going to say that at all, but that's great. Well, good luck with all of that. And again, I think if folks see paramedics and EMTs around next week, certainly reach out and let them know how much you appreciate the work that they do. Again, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, it doesn't matter, because when we dial 911, we expect an ambulance to show up, and it does. And that's important to have that service throughout San Juan County. And we've been talking a lot about ambulances, but I think I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about air care as well. That's also part of the service, is it not, or is it separate?
They're separate.
Are they?
They're their own. Yes.
It's a separate thing.
It is.
You guys are mostly just ground transportation and things like that.
Yes.
Got it. Thank you. And so again, there are ambulance stations kind of scattered throughout the county, I guess, for response and things like that. Is that kind of how it works?
They're strategically placed throughout the county. When I say strategically, it's
Right.
based on volume, demand, how quickly they can get to different areas, so center points and everything. So yeah, we have multiple stations throughout the county that house advanced life support ambulances.
Got you. Kind of similar to how we see the fire departments and things like that. They're
Exactly.
all the districts and things like that set up
Yes.
around the county because it's such a large area to cover. So that makes sense. And then the staff is there to be able to respond at a moment's notice.
Correct.
Is-
Yep. That's where they live for the 24 hours that they're on duty.
Got it. Very good. And so again, how many folks usually go out with an ambulance crew? Is there a set number of people that are responding to some of these calls?
2.
Always
So
two?
we have two individuals on an ambulance for it to run.
Mhm.
And that's obviously when we have a patient in the back, we have someone that has to drive, and
Yep.
then someone that's giving care. And then we work very closely with our fire departments too, and our law enforcement, that if we need a driver, because both of our crew are needed in the back, they're really great about stepping up, and they'll drive our ambulances for us to make sure that we can get that patient quickly to the care that they're needing.
Right. Got it. Very good.
Absolutely.
And you mentioned earlier the dispatchers, so I know you work very closely with, and certainly they are the ones that are taking these calls immediately and then deciding kind of whether to dispatch an ambulance, a crew with the fire department, the rescue groups, or not, and what's going on. And so many times when you arrive at scene, you're arriving with fire crews and things like that as well then, right?
Yes. So our dispatch begins that rundown of how that call is going to go. And then our crews that are responding, because we're going to get information from dispatch. Most of the time we're getting, and it's something that's pretty common across the nation, when we're getting that information, we get about 20%, if that, of what's actually happening at that scene. So we're getting a very small piece of what's going on, and then we're making those critical decisions based off of that. And some of those decisions, dispatch has that base build of what they're going to send. Your incoming crews, your fire, your paramedic crews, they're going to add on to that, because you discussed air care a second ago. That's where we're going to make those determinations. You know, how far is my call? Do I need to get a helicopter en route? So we're making those decisions en route as well based off the information. So it's really a team effort all the way around as to what we're doing out there, that we're also making that decision en route of, do I need more resources? Do I have enough resources? And then when I get closer to, or I get with the patient, do I need to cancel resources? And so to keep them
Sure.
available for other calls.
Right. So that communication is really important, I
Very
guess, as
important.
things are changing and as maybe you get on scene, you maybe discover a totally different scene that you were expecting
Absolutely.
in some cases. So that could happen.
Yes, we see, and you know, speaking of our scenes, numbers
Yeah.
play into that. We have a lot of statistics and numbers that go into what we're doing out there. And I know Chief is definitely our numbers guy. That's what he likes
Right.
to do, is talk numbers.
Okay.
But they're very important
Sure.
to see what those numbers are, because again, you know, and it all funnels back to the basis of like making sure that we call when we need to call, and not call when we don't need to call, and you know,
Sure.
are the numbers of calls that we're running out there. So with these 8 ambulances that we discussed in this 5,500 mile radius, in 2025 we responded to 22,232 calls, just the ambulance. So that's our service that responded to those.
Wow.
That's a lot of calls.
That
for
is a lot of
8
calls.
trucks on a good day. Some days we run
Sure.
as low as 5 trucks,
Right.
4 trucks, depending.
Well, and it's too early in the morning for me to do the math on how many calls that is per day, but that's a lot.
It's a lot of calls.
22,000 calls for
It
the whole
is.
year. If someone out there will do the math and let me know what
we
that is, but that's a lot.
We average around 62 calls a day.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you did the math.
I did.
Somebody
Yeah.
did some for you, so great. Okay.
He does the numbers.
But that's a lot. I mean, that's
is.
a lot of calls, and again, and we know that our area is somewhat unique in that it's kind of that retail hub from the surrounding region, basically. So even folks from outside of San Juan County maybe are coming here and maybe having problems when they're here, whether it's a traffic collision or a health emergency or what have you. And so you're dealing with maybe a greater population that just live here on many occasions, I would think.
We do, and we mutual aid to a lot of agencies as well.
Mm-hmm.
So because they are a little more rural and don't have access to that emergency medical care that we're able to offer. So we have some pretty long transport times sometimes to get out to the patient. We're not right around the corner.
Right.
You know, occasionally when that call comes in, we're going to be a little bit to get there, and we get there as fast as we can. But again, that's where we have our partners in air care that I can get them there a lot faster than I can get me there. So
Right.
we really work hand in hand with a lot of these agencies to make sure that we are trying to get as quick of medical care as we can to those citizens when
Sure.
they're out there.
And it doesn't matter, it sounds like to me, kind of where they are then. If you can get there, you will try to get there, or get a resource there, you will try to get there. If it's across the state line or on the reservation or where have you, it really
Somebody will be there.
doesn't come into the plan, I guess, right? Just to get help to the scene.
Correct.
And that's kind of the plan.
Yes.
And with that, when your staff of EMTs and your staff of paramedics and things like that, I mean, you've got to have, how many folks are on your staff, I guess, to staff all these?
68 staff members currently.
Okay.
Yes.
And so that's how you were able to staff all these
It
8
is.
ambulances.
It is, and a lot. You know, we are short-staffed. I mean, that is 68 seems like a lot, but it's really not. And
What would
so
be the right number, I guess, fully staffed number
an ideal number? Probably
in a perfect world?
in 90 plus
Okay.
personnel
Okay.
would be the perfect world. And so, yes, we are hiring. Absolutely.
All right. Good
so,
to know.
But with that, you know, because our staff are so committed to the community, it's not uncommon for our crews to work 48 hours, 60 hours in a row, never go home, just stay at work to provide those services, just to keep those units available for people that need it.
Gotcha. Now, of course, and that's really dedication when
It really is.
when you talk that way, and I certainly understand that. And it's not that they're awake all that time, right? If there's not a call,
Correct.
there are
No,
places
no.
where they could take a cat nap or something, right?
Yes.
When there's some downtime, but you never know in that line of work when that call is going to come in, and so that's kind of the lifestyle they have when they're on duty.
Exactly.
And so that's important. And I guess that's just what you sign up for.
It is.
Right?
Yeah. There are days that we get a few little cat naps, and there's days like my shift last night where we run pretty much a standing 24.
Busy
So
night.
we're going all the time.
Gotcha.
But that's, again, I think that when you come into this line of work, it's at the end of the day, no matter how hard the day is, no matter how many calls I've run, when I look at that truck, I still want to do it. And that's what drives us to continue to do it.
Sure. I think it takes probably a unique
Right.
personality to sign up for that kind of work, just like being a radio guy or a journalist or doctor or other things too. You kind of expect that kind of a lifestyle, and that's what is, I guess, taught to you as you're getting trained in things and what to expect.
It's
Absolutely.
a calling.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
calling.
Yeah, that's an important thing as well. And so with your shift, I mean, we hear about the stories about maybe at night it's a little crazier, maybe a little more interesting calls, and maybe during the day. Does that hold true from what your experience has been?
Definitely nighttime brings a different type of patient.
That's a diplomatic way to say that.
Yes.
Yeah, I like
It's
that.
a different kind of patient that we get. Also, and oddly enough, full moons bring some interesting patients.
Really? Okay.
So it's another one that we see.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, so we get, but
But
there've
you are
been-
prepared for everything and anything, it sounds like to me.
Absolutely, you have to be.
Yeah.
You never know what your next one's going to be.
Sure. Seems to be a lot of shows on television these days about your job and how glamorous it is and the things that happen on TV. It's very similar, I'm sure, to the real life situation. Would you agree, or am I off base?
Yeah.
Similar?
So
Everything's resolved in 28 minutes?
Absolutely, 60 minutes and 5 commercials,
yeah.
and it's fixed.
Okay.
So no, the Hollywood definitely glamorizes some. I feel like some has gotten a little more realistic on some of the medicine.
Okay.
But to say that we get some very interesting calls out there. So there's some that I'm like, that's not quite real. And there's some I'm like, oh, that's probably about accurate.
That happened. Yeah. Or I could see that happening. So
Absolutely.
I get you. Okay. Very good. We just have a few more minutes remaining this morning with our conversation. And so before we run out of time though, I want to make sure we've covered everything that you want to let the audiences know about the jobs that you do and how the public can react, interact, and make your jobs maybe a little easier when you're out on the scene. Or there's some things that motorists can do, that the public can do when you guys are out at the scene and help you do your jobs a little bit better?
Absolutely. So, talking about motorists.
Yeah.
When we're driving, and I
Everyone's
want to say
polite
they
on the road.
absolutely.
Yeah,
They're
right.
so polite on the road. They're fantastic. We have great drivers. So, when you see an emergency vehicle behind you, whether it's an ambulance, whether it's a fire truck, whether it's a police officer, pull to the right and stop. It's not just to pull to the right and stop. These emergency vehicles need to be in the left-hand lane. That's where we ride. If you stop right in front of me in the left-hand lane, I can't go. I cannot pass you on the right. I cannot keep moving. And that, again, minutes matter.
Sure.
And those crews are trying to get to that scene as safely as possible. And driving with our lights and sirens is one of the more dangerous things that we do, because we are at a higher capacity to be involved in an accident because we are trying to, go against lights and stuff like that. So, we're having to take our lives out there and go, okay, I need to be as safe as possible, and I need the motoring public to also have that, decency on the road to let me move over. It's that 2 minutes to that person in that car is a life to someone else. So we need to think about that when we're going.
Yeah, of course. And you mentioned pulling over and stopping, which I think is really important, because if folks are just pulling over and maybe slowing down or whatever, they don't know where you're headed. They don't know if you have to turn right in front of them, or where you're going for your destination. And so by stopping, that opens up and lets you be able to get to where you need to be.
Absolutely.
In whatever lane it is and wherever your destination is going. So thank you for sharing that. And that's really important. I imagine driving through maybe heavy traffic, I'm thinking Main Street in Farmington or things like that. You've got 3 lanes and turn lanes and things like that. That can be very challenging, I guess, for an ambulance driver.
It can. For our crews that are driving, it can be very difficult to get around that, especially when we come up to traffic lights where we have everyone stopped at the light and we have to do our best to circumvent around those vehicles. And so, when you see that emergency vehicle and you're at a red light, just stay where you're at, stop. If you can move to the right, but remain where you are so that we can try and get around you.
Yeah, very important. Very
If
good.
you see one go through, chances are there's going to be another one. So just be hyper vigilant.
Sure.
As a driver, just that if you saw one go through, look, there's probably another one coming. If not immediately, soon after. So
Right, whether it's a police
It could be a
vehicle
police
or
car.
a fire truck or an ambulance, right? So that's what we're talking about. So
Yes.
that's important. Good to know. Any other pieces of advice for the public other than motorists, or other things motorists should be aware of?
Again, just that, know when to call the right time,
Right.
for the right reason, making sure that we're making those calls. And some of those myths that are out there, one of the big myths that we hear a lot in the back of my ambulance is that they called an ambulance because they feel that they will be seen in the ER faster.
Oh,
I think that's a kind of a big miscommunication that happens. Everyone is triaged the same.
right.
And that's out of fairness, honestly. Whether you come through the front doors of that ER or through my ambulance bay, we're going to triage everybody the same.
Right, and that's just based on what the conditions are as they present, I guess, once they get there, whether it's by ambulance or private vehicle, or I dragged myself or whatever it is. So,
We're going by the medical and how critical that is.
gotcha. Good advice. Very good. Well, last thoughts from both of you as to EMS Week, and again, our thanks to you and all the crew, again, that do this job, again, sometimes 24 hours at a time or 48 hours at a time. Final thoughts, Chief?
No, thank you for, we greatly appreciate the support of the community and everything the community has to offer us. So we thank you for having us as well.
You bet. We're glad to be able to do that and share your story with our audiences.
Yes.
So thank you very much. Sheridan Peterson, any other thoughts from you about how we can make your job a little easier? I guess we could stay healthy. That'd be one thing.
Absolutely, stay healthy. I think just, recognize your crews. These men and women are proud to serve San Juan County, and we remain proud to serve San Juan County.
Very good. Good words. Thank you. Thank you both for coming in. Happy EMS week,
Thank
and we look forward to seeing you in a situation like this. Maybe not in your other job. I'd rather not run into you guys out in the field, but I know you're there if I need you. So thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
My
Thank you.
guests here from San Regional Medical Center EMS. My guests here on KSJE.